Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
G'day, folks. Feels like an age since we've had a bit of a chat, but, well, I've been busy. I haven't just been sitting around doing nothing. Been busy. In fact, over the weekend, had the pleasure of John Wilson's company, and we put a few plans in place and hope to be bringing you some pretty interesting news in the not-too-distant future on things that are happening in our neck of the woods. There will be a bit of a road trip involved in the not-too-distant future, so people north and south of Queensland, look out. The old pirate wants to get on the road, and, well, we'll try and make that happen for him. Hello to everybody in the room tonight. Lovely to see you all back in here. Hello, Michelle, Dave-O. Been a smart-ass, mate. Love your work, though. The microphone, clearly, I can see little things are bouncing tonight, so my lessons over the last couple of days must have paid off and be able to turn them on. Hello, Sunflower, you beautiful lady, you. Who else? Aussie Sue's in there. I think I said hello to you, Suze. Hope things are well on the Isa. We got a new one in tonight. Hello, my choice. Good evening. You were recommended by a friend to say hi. Well, there you go. We are a very friendly room. I do a lot of the talking. Everybody else does the typing. You being, maybe if you are a female type, woman of the opposite sex type, will be able to do both, listen and type and hold conversations in there. But I wouldn't expect too much of the blokes. I know Paul. I know Dave. Just be a bit careful. Blokes really can only do one thing, and I'm a very good example of that. Evening, Toxic. Nice to have you back in the place. Pete Grace. Rob. Here he is. Brothers Gold Mining himself. Nice to see you in the room, brother. I hope things are going well. There is a small need for somebody with some repair skills on an excavator, I believe, up your way. Hopefully you'll be able to get that sorted, mate, in the next little while, and you'll be out digging the great gold stuff out of the ground, the way things should be. So a lot of things have been touted. The last couple of days have actually given me a chance to catch up. I'm just scanning down to see who I haven't said to. Hi, Mish. Ghost bitches. There you go. Aussie, oi. We'll go for that one. Woohoo! That was really big in about the year 2000. I don't think we've used it much since the Sydney Olympics. Sydney, when she went to Sydney. Good evening to Bradford, the Galactic Larrikin himself in bloody chilly Canberra. I can tell you, bloody chilly in Queensland too. Although less chilly today than yesterday. That's only because today has been full of rain. You might recall a few days ago I showed you some of the videos that we were making regarding water treatment, and we hadn't had the opportunity to do rainwater. Well, I'm going to shoot rainwater tomorrow for you. We've got a ton of it at the moment. Misha, thank you for your super sticker. Thank you. I've just seen that pop up. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for thinking of me. Gordon, nice to see you in too. Who haven't I said to? Veronique, rather. Paul, look, Rob. The other Galactic Larrikin is in there too. G'day, buddy. I owe you a phone call. I apologise. I was on a different one when you called. You've called me twice and I still haven't called you back. So we will get to you. I do apologise. Probably after the show tonight, be a good bet. And Chris O's in the house. Hello, Starseed. Now, listen, mate, I reckon there's a few weird things going on in our skies just between you, me, and the gatepost. I don't know, folks, if you go out a lot like I do and look up into the sky, day or night, a lot happens above our heads because we never look up. We just assume, if it's a blue sky day, then it's a blue sky day. And if it's not a blue sky day, then if you look up, you get rain in your eyes. There is some interesting shit happening in our skies. Can I just show you something?
La ilaha illallah. Вон. Здесь. Вон, идут они. Вон. Машалла. Я не знаю, что это такое. Аллаху Акбар. Пусть кто-нибудь объяснит, если не ангелы. Что это такое? Много ангелов, братья, рядами. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Mana farishtalar, Allahu Akbar! Mana. Как волны в море они ходят, туда-сюда, рядами ходят они, как Аллах обещал в Коране, так они и ходят рядами.
ليكو الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر شوف ما شاء الله
So what are we seeing there? A glitch in the matrix or something else? Now that video, as far as I can ascertain, was filmed in Chechnya a couple of days ago. At the time, there was some thoughts that it was some kind of radio wave being transmitted from Russia aimed at Ukraine. I don't know that that would be the case. I don't know why why it would be going via Chechnya. However, it did look like there was some form of energy wave, particularly easily viewable at the start of it. And then, I don't know what sort of screen you're watching this on at the moment, but on a bigger screen, you'll be able to see in the latter parts of it that the vertical cloud, if you like, has little tendrils that are moving in a non-natural way. Project Bluebeam. Could it be that? For discerning folks, I'll leave that up for you. What I did find interesting was that they were clearly praising Allah. God is great, Allah Akbar. Now, why would that be your first go-to? I know it's probably the first go-to for all people in that all Muslims in that sort of part of the world. Maybe that's why. But I would have thought that you'd have a few other things to say. That is a very weird sort of video to be taking and a very weird phenomenon to be actually seeing. But I guess it is the time of weird phenomenon, don't you think? We've certainly seen a fair chunk of it floating around. Well, over the weekend, Joe Biden died. Did you know that? On the 2nd of July, Joe Biden died. This all happened out front of Joe Biden's house. Hazmat was called out. He may have been dead a while. Do you think the body was leaking? I don't know. 18th Street, Pennsylvania Ave was shut down. Secret Service units had blocked off a large area around the White House. Full hazmat response required. There was another tweet as well. U.S. Secret Service has just shut down access to Eclipse, Lafayette Park, 17th Street and Pennsylvania Ave due to an unknown security incident. So Joe Biden apparently died. That was what came out a couple of hours after those sort of tweets. But I don't think so. Seems only yesterday that Joe decided he was going to reclassify the JFK files. So there will be no full release of all the files, at least not while Joe has control of the purse strings or the security strings. I don't know that that's any great surprise. Of course, RFK Jr. is running against Biden in the Democrat campaign for president in 2024. He's already declared. So why would Biden give him a family leg up, so to speak, by giving him access to those files and discovering that it was, of course, George Bush Sr. in charge of the CIA who started the plan and, in fact, employed the men who did the shooting of JFK. Definitely a CIA operation, and it was done because he had very definite plans of breaking the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scattering it to the winds of the world, I think was the quote that JFK had in that very famous speech when he discovered that the CIA were operating as a law unto themselves, a government within a government, a secret government, lots of black money, black operations, and they were actually empire building as well, setting up through intelligence organizations that they had affinity with around the world a power base of their own. JFK discovered that. They killed him for it. They were going to announce this whole global financial reset on September the 11th, 2001. They were going to do it at 11 a.m. From one of the buildings, the World Trade Center. Of course, at 9 a.m., one of those buildings had what was thought to be at the time an aircraft plow into it, followed by another aircraft plowing into the other building 25 odd minutes later. A lot of people saw those aeroplanes, but were they really aeroplanes? Was that, in fact, our first introduction to Project Bluebeam? There have been so many revelations, particularly about 9/11 in the last 2 weeks. There is more coming. Why is there more coming? Well, I think they want to show you where the gold came from. At 11 o'clock on that morning, September the 11th, 2001, there was going to be a reset of the US financial dollar. It was going to be backed by gold. And for television and other purposes, they had decided to accumulate a great deal of that gold, something like $400 billion worth of it, in Building 7 of the World Trade Center. Now, Building 7 of the World Trade Center was actually the operational base and planned base for the destruction of Buildings 1 and 2. And, of course, they couldn't leave any evidence left in Building number 7. So, of course, 6 hours after everything else, Building 7 collapsed, thereby destroying any evidence that the crew had been in there doing a controlled demolition of the other 2 buildings, etc., etc. So there is a lot more coming out on that in the very near future. But if you haven't gone and had a look recently at a lot of the vision, particularly shot from the ground, well, I don't suppose there's too much shot from the air, but particularly shot from beneath the World Trade Centers as aircraft are going into the building, and really be objective and look at it. There are plenty of videos now available that will show you and strip away the CGI. It very definitely looks like something like Project Bluebeam to me. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, we've talked about Joe Biden apparently dying over the weekend. That would leave a bit of a conundrum. They would need to, if that had happened, or if it does happen, Kamala Harris would be stepping up into the presidency. Now, she doesn't want to do that for a variety of reasons, and, well, one of those might be that she's not actually entitled to, because she's, well, I won't get into it in a moment. But she may have a few problems proving legitimacy. Let's just put it that way. Now, that creates a problem for the Democrats, because if they can't appoint Kamala Harris, that means that the next person in line is the Speaker of the House, and that's McCarthy. McCarthy, you could find, could step down. They could nominate Donald Trump to step into that role and then take the White House that way. We've been saying that for a little while, but I don't know. Don't know that that's actually the way that it will go. Fingers crossed that something will come about. And, well, there's been a lot of other interesting things going on in the Senate and in the Congress with these cross committees on weaponization, on checking out the weaponization of the jibbity jab, the weaponization of media, the complete destruction of the DOJ, the FBI, and a number of other intelligence services. So much so that the US Senate has passed a new bill. It's called the US Senate Intelligence Authorization Bill. It's a bit of a mouthful. The US Senate Intelligence Authorization Bill. Now, this one's just been slipped through in the last few days. Now, it is designed to give complete transparency about non-human technology. So that bill has been slipped in very quietly. I think it was last Thursday night or Friday. I got news of it Saturday morning. So Thursday night, Friday their time. And that's going to be a fairly interesting bill. It's going to get passed. Obviously, they have the numbers to get it pushed through. This could be what we believe will be the release of the beginnings of the release, anyway, of some of the 6,000 patented oh God almighty, I can't say the friggin' word now, patented technologies that are being hidden from us by the elites. They're going to be releasing those in an open source way. So if you're a backyard inventor and you might like to give some of this technology a bit of a go, you will be able to. They're, from what I'm led to believe, going to fund certain projects. So if you have an idea that is worthy of funding and getting access to some of this technology, obviously some of this technology to build or create the basics for it is a lot of money. So you're going to need to be helped in some way to kick all that off. So keep that as a watching space. But I believe that there are going to be some fairly good grants available for people who are reasonably thought out in the ways of new propulsion systems, new heating systems, new cooling systems, believe it or not. I'm not exactly sure what the difference it's going to. I mean, we're going to get new air conditioners. I don't know, I suppose eventually. But at any rate, keep an eye on that. It's going to be a moving feast. Over 6,000 patented technologies or patented technologies that have been hidden from us. Technologies that the elites plan to keep for themselves will be released. And I think what we are going to see is some of those be put out pretty soon. Because there are some pretty cluey people sitting around in backyards imagining things and just wondering what they can do with a couple of sets of magnets and, you know, a decent power source. Am I the only one wondering that? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? All right, so keep an eye on that. The Senate Intelligence Authorization Bill for Transparency about non-human technology. Something else you might want to keep an idea or a bit of an eye on. Today, with more than a whimper, or no more than a whimper, it certainly didn't trumpet its arrival into the scene, but today, Australia's new National Anti-Corruption Agency kicked off. Now, if you've been over this group in the last couple of weeks, you will have probably submitted your own complaint. Something for them to investigate. I know that there are some fairly significant complaints have been put into this authority already. Now, what I'm still struggling to find out is who's actually on it. Who are the people that will be conducting? I know there is a special prosecutor, if you like, the assistant to the bloke sitting at the top of the bench. But I've seen too many of these things, royal commissions and the like, that just go nowhere. They are quashed, or you don't get the truth out of them. That gets suppressed, bribed, coerced out of the final report. So I remain a little hesitant to see what's going to come of this National Crime Authority or Crime Coercion Authority. I guess they'll be able to have a look at Gladys Berejiklian. Let's hope they can have a look at Anastasia Falasuk. I think there is a lot to be having a look at there in Queensland, in particular far north Queensland. Councils, local councils, affiliations to state government there need to be looked at closer. There is a friendship between Anastasia Falasuk and a certain mayor in far north Queensland, and doesn't look all that good, I must say, for old Anastasia. She tends to run a house that's full of favors by the look of it, and she's got a lot of people she's put in power who are quite happy to help her out with those favors. So all that's coming to an end, folks. Got to be thinking about that. It's all going to come to a grinding halt. Speaking of grinding halts, our Limerick competition has come to a grinding halt. My God, you lot are a creative bunch of people. Some really, really, really good limericks have come in. Thank you to everybody who took the time to put down 5 lines, in some cases many lines, of limerick or poem for me, and for the Voice of Freedom. Really appreciate it. Now, you didn't do it for me, I know. You did it for the 10-ounce silver bar, thanks to Ainsley Bullion, or one of the 1-ounce coins, thanks to Freedom Financial Services. Now, they, being Cass from Freedom Financial Solutions and Paul from Ainsley Bullion, are going to be judging the winner and the runners-up in this competition. So I have the entire list printed out, ready to go in an email to them both, and I believe I've just got to catch up and find out her availability. But with a bit of luck, I'll be able to catch up with Cass Smith and Paul next week, and we will do the announcement live then, and let the lucky winners know. You'll be able to get your bar, and we'll make sure it's sent to you. And same for the coins; they'll be sent to you. As Ainsley always do, if you don't want to go in and buy your precious metal face to face, you can buy it online, and they'll send it to you securely. Good little service they have running there. So gold and silver is the way to go, folks. And do you need any further example of it than this? This comes out of Queensland today. A lady, God love her, she is a mum. She decided to go to the bank and withdraw $3,500. She had some renovations that were taking place at her house, needed to pay the chippy or whatever. She's gone to the ANZ bank, asked, and had left her purse at home, so she didn't have her card. So she thought, well, that's all right. I've got my wallet, I've got my license, got my ID. I can still get the money over the counter. Ba-dum! That didn't work out too well. Of course, the ANZ bank in her particular area don't deal with cash over the counter anymore. The only cash you can get is through the machine. It's a smart machine. Yeah, it's a smart machine. It'll give you all the cash you want. Okay, so she didn't have her card, but the bank teller, being, well trained in how to semi-please people, said, don't worry, love, I'll give you a temporary card and you can take that out the front and get your money out of the machine. That'll be great, won't it? And ordinarily, you'd think that'd probably be pretty good. So she did just that, made her up this temporary card, gave her a temporary PIN, sent her out the front, tapped on the non-temporary buttons of the non-temporary smart ATM because they're really smart, and got an error message. Kept getting an error message. Kept getting the error message. Couldn't get her money out of her bank. Hang on a minute. It's probably easier if we let her tell the story, isn't it? Let me hit.
So I am getting some renos done at home and I needed $3,500 cash. So I went to the bank, but I didn't have my physical card. I thought, oh, that's fine. I'll just go to the teller. The teller proceeds to tell me they don't have cash in the bank anymore. You can only get it out through the ATM. But she said, don't worry, I'll set your card up so you can just tap it in place of your card. I said, oh, okay, great. Anyway, she'd done her bit on the computer and she came with me to the teller to make sure everything was fine. And it just kept giving an error message. It wouldn't even let me get to the point to put my PIN in. When I tapped it, it just gave this error message. And she said, I'm really sorry, there's nothing we can do. I was like, what do you mean? I need to get my money out of my bank account. And she was like, yeah, really sorry. Like, we don't carry cash here. She said, if you've got another bank you can transfer your money to, you can try it with them.
So luckily for her, she is with another bank, and that's exactly what she did. Bloody great idea. I think if you're with ANZ, that'd probably be the best idea now, wouldn't it? What sort of shit is this? They are driving you to a cardless or to a cashless society. And of course, this week, folks, we're all paying in cash, aren't we? No cards this week. From the 3rd to the 10th of July, that's the movement in Australia. Pay cash for everything. And if they don't accept it, make them. Or go somewhere else that will. I did see a particularly good plan that was done, I want to say, in France or Germany. Probably not in France, considering France has been on fire for the last 2 weeks. Might have been in Germany, where 150 people all went into a supermarket, did a big shop. And this supermarket chain had just announced that they were only going to accept cards from now on, no more cash. So 150 of them went in with full trolleys and went to try and pay with cash. Weren't allowed to, so they just left their trolleys. Leaves an awful lot of work for the staff to have to go and put all that stuff away again. And when everybody in the store was doing it, management decided to change their decision and reinstate cash transactions again after about 15 minutes. That's what we need, folks. That is the power of the people. I can sit here and talk to you, all the time, every night or every other night or whatever it turns out to be. But unless we come up with some kind of a plan of action, something we can all rally towards, something we can all believe in uphold and hold others to, then we've got nothing. And we have to do that. We can't wait for others to do it. And so where do you sit with the log of claims? I mean, that's our way of trying to have at least a direction for everybody to follow. Now, the log of claims, if you haven't seen it, is available at the Voice of Freedom website, vofhq.com. There is a tab across the top there says log of claims. Click on it. You can download it. I really hope you do. Download it, print it out. Sit it on the coffee table when you have friends coming around for tea and bickies. Have a talk about it. Discuss what's in it. If you feel that there are things in it that shouldn't be, or if you feel there aren't things in it that should be, then we want to know about it. We want to know, because it is only through your consultation, through your input, through all of our input, that we can come together with the one direction, the goal, with a clearly defined expression of what we as Australians expect from our country, our life, and our government. We all have to be on the same page. That means even if it's a good surfing day, you don't go surfing. You go and do something about this. You try and push this message. You try and be a bit uniting. You try and move the education forward so that more people get to understand what the log of claims is about. No one, least of all John Wilson, suggests that the log of claims is all the be all and end all. That is not the case, but it is a tremendous starting point. So if you follow other people like me, and I don't care who you follow, have you asked them, have they seen the log of claims? Have you asked them what do they think of the log of claims? You know, I'm trying to think of who else you might follow, Simeon or Guru or Dave Onegs, or, you know, there's a few others floating around. Whoever you follow in Australia, no point sending it off to one of these overseas people. It's all well and good to have a lot of overseas people to talk to and wave the flag about and pull each other's dicks and think it's fabulous. But they can't really do much to help us here in Australia. All right. And there are many Australians, despite their certain amount of glee that there might be a Second Amendment in our future, many Australians don't want to accept an American constitution. Many Australians will refuse that point blank. And that's for good reason. So if we're not going to have that, what are we going to have? Now, there is a lot of conversations about our current constitution, the 1901 piece of shit that I've referred to for many years. And of course, then there's Magna Cartas, depending on which battle you want to fight. There are some blokes who've got some pretty good ideas on how we push this forward. And while I don't necessarily agree with or like the 1901 Constitution, it may well be the only way forward at this point in time. But it's another starting point. And if viewed through the lens of the log of claims, we can come up with something more updated, more fitting for today, out of maybe both of those. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But if we're all walking in the one direction, if we're all pulling in the same rope in the same direction, then we're going to get there a hell of a lot faster than if, you know, half of us are pulling north, half of us are pulling south, and the rest of them are going off surfing. It isn't going to work. We all need to get behind one thing. From that, it can build. Like I say, the log of claims isn't the be-all and end-all. It is a beginning. And if we can get as many Australians as possible to look at that and get their input into it, it's going to be a bloody great beginning. So please, if you haven't already done so, go to vofhq.com and see the tab for log of claims. Click on that, download it, and show it to your friends. Show it to your family. Have the conversation. Ask them, is there anything you would like to add to this? What do you think our country needs? What do these boys have missed in what they've put in the log of claims? Or what do you think they've overreached, overstepped, and could be taken out? Without your input, it's just a piece of useless paper. We need your input. So if you've got it, then email it to me, carl@vofhq.com, or you can do john@vofhq.com too. That'll get to him. You can also, I think his email address is in the log of claims as well, so you can send it to him there. But we are very keen to get your opinions on it. It's going to be an important document, but can only be that way if you have your say on it, if you get involved. So please, folks, really, really commend you to go and check out the log of claims if you haven't already done so. And even if you have already done so, start the conversation up again with somebody new. Keep the conversation going. This is a conversation that has to be going amongst us all. And if you do follow other alt media types, then please ask them what are their thoughts on the log of claims. Get them to have a look at it. Get them to have a discussion about it. Very keen to get as many different inputs as we possibly can. So go to it, folks. Go and check out those other folks that are out there pushing the good message and see what they say about the log of claims. Pardon me. Klaus Schwab. We all know and love Klaus. What an interesting soul he is. He put out the Young Global Leaders program from the WEF a little while ago. And in 2021, he released the report. This is what the report looked like. It was a very special report. The 2021 Young Global Leaders Annual Report, Responding to Adversity, Leading with Responsibility. And then there are some beautiful pictures. Can I just ask, that little girl in the middle on the bottom line there, does that look a lot like Jessica Malboy to you? So this is the Young Global Leader class of 2021. The little girl with the finger over the lips in the middle there looks a lot like Jessica Malboy to me. I'm just saying, might be wrong, but looks a lot like Jessica Malboy to me. Don't know that that's terribly flash, and we all know what that. Anyway, hey, we all know the ACT government is a law unto itself. God knows the ACT Department of Public Prosecutions is making up any laws. So any laws they like, it seems, and trying to push them as far and wide as they like. And of course, the local council has decided that the Catholics who've been running a hospital in Canberra now successfully for, 30, 40, 50 years, I don't know. I'm talking about the Calvary Hospital, has been reclaimed by the ACT government. And today, or in the last few days at any rate, this was the major operation they undertook at Calvary Hospital, to remove the cross, as it is no longer part of the Catholic domain, the health system that the Catholic Church and the diocese, I think, operated there. Calvary was a very popular public-private, I think it was. But now, not so much. What are the ACT government going to do with it? Well, God knows. They are probably just going to run it into the ground and provide no service whatsoever, because ain't that the way we know these bastards always work? So we've come to the end of the financial year in Australia with July 30. Last week, there was a lot of talk about what's going to happen July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Most of those dates were reliant on America. And I've had the opportunity in the last couple of days to listen to some videos, some podcasts that I hadn't heard previously that dated back to 25th and 26th of June. A lot of predictions being made in those videos. A lot of predictions about what's coming up this week, particularly in America. One of those predictions, and I want to say that QSI. I was talking to Jane, and she was telling me that there is something in the background happening with QSI as well, in that they're being advised about US Treasury bonds being dumped. Now that, if it's going to happen, will be happening tonight, our time. July 4th is about to kick off in America, and they've had a nice holiday weekend. Donald Trump spoke at a little town called Pickens, in South Carolina, I think it was. Pickens is named after a very famous general in the Revolution, the American Revolution. So it might give you a bit of an idea of where he is getting his selection of places to go and speak at from. But he had a very powerful speech there in Pickens, I think, a couple of days ago on the 1st. And he has certainly sharpened the blade when it comes to his attacks on Biden and in the presidency and the Biden family, as it should. More details of Hunter Biden's illegalities, his perverted lifestyle and whatnot have been released over the weekend. There has also been somewhat of an excuse laid out as to why he only got a slap on the wrist with the 3 charges that he's done a plea deal on. That is because if they had have gone him for the whole gamut of what he had done wrong, his father would have just pardoned him and moved on. Joe might have quit straight after that, but he would have pardoned Hunter from all the crimes. So this way, there is nothing to pardon, and those crimes are going to be prosecuted. They're just going to wait until such a time where it won't be Joe handing out the pardons. I think that's going to be a big point in the Biden household in coming days and weeks. I'm just having a bit of a glance down through your chat at the moment to see what's going on, who's saying what. Talking about changing images. I saw a brilliant before and after picture of Adele today. Was that what you were talking about? You might recall that Adele used to be a bigger girl. She had a magnificent voice. And I don't know, I'm not into sizes. She was like me, cuddly, chunky. I don't know what you want to call it. Okay, just call it fat then. All right, rude bastard, do that. At any rate, she came back after a 3-month, I think it was. She had to go away and find herself after the husband and her had split up. And she came back and she looked $1,000,000. I mean, slimmed down to nothing, got the face done, got the nose done, got the hair done, got everything done, and still singing like an angel. Well, the pictures that I saw today would indicate that whoever is in the skin is not the original Adele. It's probably a clone, and it has, well, something maybe not so good inside. But that Adele image is quite striking. If you look at her, media photos and the photos before she went on her little hiatus, and then when she came back, she looked almost 100% different. And there are significant differences in her head. Thank you, Paul. I guess you're talking about my fat comment. Thank you, brother. Fluffy. Hey, Fluffy, I like this. Now, I like the sound of that. I do. Daniel, I'm starting to get a bit worried about you, but that's a whole other story. I love you too. Veronique, you are just wonderful for saying so. I appreciate it. Couple of months on meth and adrenochrome, that'll cure me. Yep. Well, look what it did for Celine Dion. Yeah, very, very, very good. Now, that was the question that I had too. Is Adele actually a guy these days? Well, was she beforehand? I don't know. But yeah, wow. I don't know. It's going to be good. A bit fluffy around the edges. I really do like that one. Very good indeed. What else have I got here to talk to you about? Oh, yeah. Okay. So June 30th, the Federal Reserve in America had until July 30th. I think it was until midday, the July 30th. This is why I don't look at the chat while I'm trying to talk. All right? This is why. Thank you, Daniel. Probably a C, mate, but thanks for caring. I don't know, maybe a D. No, probably a C. Be a big C. And I don't know what the back measurement would be, mate, but, that big. Very big. Oh, God. Now, so the Federal Reserve, they had until, I think it was midday, might have been 4 o'clock on the 30th of June to pay back everything that they owe to the US Treasury. Now, when they said everything that you owe, they meant everything that they owe. It reached into trillions and trillions of dollars. And of course, they don't have it. So what did they have to do? They had to hand back all their assets to the US Treasury instead. So in spite of what it looks like, the US Fed Reserve will continue probably for another 12 to 18 months, but it is now been brought back under the US Treasury and complete control of the US Treasury. The US Treasury has control of all the US Federal Reserve assets now. So the Fed isn't, well, what it used to be, let's put it that way. The reason that it is going to be around for the next 12 to 18 months is because they will be taking the old currency out of the system. And what would you like to do with the old currency? But give it the useless paper we're talking about. You give that back to the useless bastards that printed it. We'll jam it down their throats until they choke, one hopes. But they will be handling the recall of the US dollars, if you like, during the changeover. There has also been a great deal of conversation about Nisara Jasara. I have watched a couple of things over the weekend that were very strong in predicting big market changes this week, happening from Thursday through. Now, that's Thursday American time, meaning Friday our time. That indicates to me that while July will be a public holiday, there might be some announcements. There may be, a certain amount of treasury bonds that are put back into the system or tried to get called today. I don't know who's going to be around to do it. It's a public holiday in America, so I don't know how that would work. So therefore, opening bell tomorrow on July 5th could be telling in America. It will take a day for that to permeate through into a system that goes global. So that would be Thursday, Friday, our time here in Australia, where we would see the financial markets maybe start to move or give us an indication of a changeover. But I've seen nothing, no confirmation of any of the things that have been spoken about in these, podcasts that I listened to from a few days ago. Now, they're making great predictions. Remember, they're both from the 25th and the 26th of June, and they were damn straight telling us things were happening on the 29th, the 30th, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. But the things that are happening on the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th can only follow if the things happening on the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd happen. And I haven't seen any evidence of those things happening. So don't go and get too excited, folks. I don't think the world's coming to a bliss-filled end just yet with, billions of dollars pouring into our bank accounts and nobody having to go to work anymore. We've still got to work this out. And if we are waiting to be saved, then we're going to be waiting forever. We're just going to be crushed. That's what's going to happen. We will be crushed. We are the ones that have to stand up, folks. We just got to do it in the right way. I don't mean grab your pitchforks or grab your guns. That's the last thing we want to do. That's the excuse they're looking for. And what do you think they'll do if somebody walks out and starts? Not only will they shoot you, they'll lock the rest of us down, and everybody who has a gun will get a knock on the door from the boys in blue saying, "Oh, we've come to take your gun," because we're not sure. Maybe you're not right in the head. So we'll take your gun, and then you can come and figure out with us whether or not you're right in the head, particularly if you've got a sentiment like we do. I've got a list a mile long of people who believe like you and I do, who are gun owners, licensed, registered, and have had guns in some cases for over 40 years, have had them removed for no reason other than a public comment on Facebook. And the coppers turn up, remove your weapons, and then take your license off you, make you justify why you have a license. And I have another friend at the moment who has had the child stealers come into their life and taken her 15-year-old daughter using some absolutely outrageous fucking excuses outrageous excuses. But they are doing this simply to try and apply pressure on this person. They're not doing it for the aid of the good of the child. The child very definitely wants to be at home and very definitely wants to be involved with the things that she's involved with. She just happens to be involved with crypto and talks about it a great deal, likes talking about it. They think that she's crazy and could only be crazy because her family are crazy. How did they get this to court? It's because the person who signed the child stealing document says it is my belief that they're crazy. There hasn't been any mental health assessment done. There hasn't been any kind of mental health history or whatever for them to call on. No, they are just making up bullshit as they go along. And if you come across their radar and you're obviously got something that they don't like, or you've got access and knowledge to something they don't like, they will come for you. And more particularly, they'll come for your kids because they think that'll shut you up. That isn't the case, particularly not in this case. So we are strong people. We are strong people, but we do understand when they come after your family, and if your family aren't prepared to fight or aren't part of the fight, maybe you've got to do what you've got to do. Nobody will think less of you for doing it. But we will fight for your family too. Just remember that. All of this family here with the Voice of Freedom, and I'm sure we could reach out to a few of the other alt media types and get their families involved as well. God knows we're all part of the same family. We just have to be pulling in the same direction, folks. That's all. This petty bullshit, I find. I really wasn't going to say anything about this tonight, but I'm finding it sad but amusing to watch some of the egos at work in Australia in this freedom movement at the moment. Sad. I find it really sad because it's ego, and those wielding that ego have not yet to fully appreciate what damage it's doing. They wind up being divisive, and that's showing now. That's showing with support waning in all sorts of areas for them. And I know that because I get phone calls from these people who say, "What have I? What's changed? What's this happening? Why is that happening? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that?" I don't know why they do it. Well, I kind of do. I kind of don't. A lot of it's to do with ego. A lot of it's because they think they're doing the right thing, but it's more about the pat on the back. It's more about the recognition on the street. It's more about the, oh yeah, you're the one standing at the front fighting the war. That's the perception of it. When that isn't the reality. Long way from it. So we need to draw all of these groups together because together we are powerful. Together we are strong. Together, if we can unite all of you and you can bring friends, then we win this war soon, quickest. It's that easy. We just need to get more people on our side. And the best way to get more people on our side is to show them we're not crazy. We have a log of claims. This is what we are looking for in our world going forward. Can you support that or not? So if you've got a normie that, refuses to listen to anything, chuck the log of claims at them. See whether or not that is something that they would support going forward. Because if it is, and it's something that you would support going forward too, then voila, we have common ground. We have a beginning. We have a place to start and build from opposite ends of the argument. So get the log of claims in front of the normie mates that you've still got that are talking to you. I know there's probably not a lot of them that are still talking to you. I know that's the case with me. But get it in front of them. Get it in front of them. Take it to morning tea at work. Drop it. Just leave it. Leave it on. If you're in one of those work situations where you have a crib room or a tea room or something like that, print out a couple of copies. Just leave them lying around. See what happens. Maybe maybe put a little signature point down the bottom. If you like this idea, sign here. Just see what happens. Be interesting to see what sort of reactions we get. And of course, if you're going to give them a signing point, you may as well give them what changes would you like to see, or what would you add to this? What would you take away from this? But get it in front of the normies. Get it in front of the people who aren't, Voice of Freedom watchers, who aren't John Wilson followers. And we will get a bigger sample audience. The only way that this is going to work is we get this in front of as many people as possible, folks, because without as many people as possible's input, well, it's just a bit of paper. Once we have 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 1 million of you who have seen the log of claims and have had your say with the changes, if there are to be made, are made, then we have a way forward. Then we have, something we can look for in our leadership, look for in our leaders. Do they stack up to the log of claims? And if they do, odds are we're going to have good leaders, people who think like you and I do, people who want a great future for all of us, not the privileged, not the lucky, not the elite, but for all of us. And by that, I mean, not that we're all millionaires, but that we're happy. And if happiness for you is buying a caravan and going around Australia for the rest of your life, great. If happiness for you is going overseas and spending as much time as you can over there, then great. If happiness for you is continuing your business because it's a business that other people rely on, pardon me, you provide a service that's important to other people, and you get great enjoyment from providing it, then keep providing it. You just don't have to do it as hard. You might find that, because money's not going to be important, people will come and help, give you a bit of time off, so you'll be able to enjoy your time too. The world isn't going to fall apart, folks. But it will if these evil bastards get a hold of it. Our world will fall apart. Theirs won't. Ours will. Get a hold of the log of claims, folks. Go to vofhq.com. Scan across the top. I want to say it's the 4th or the 5th tab across. It says log of claims. Pretty easy. There's a PDF there you can download. It might be a Word document you can download too, maybe. And print it off. Have a talk about it with your friends and family. Take it to work. Show everybody there. Get a feel for it. And then come and tell me. You can send me an email at carl@vofhq.com and let me know if you approve, if you don't approve, what you'd change, what you wouldn't change, all of that. What else have I got here to finish off with? Yes. All right. So there are more vax hearings or jab hearings being had in America at the moment. I was going to play you another video. It's about a minute long of an interrogation, if you like, of a health professional in a US council. But if I do, I've got a sneaking suspicion I'll get the show banned again off YouTube. So instead, I will just say that an alderman in a particular small city in America got stuck into the health professionals that were arguing the case for the jab. He used real science, he used real facts, he used their own numbers and had these people turned inside out, sideways, and blatantly telling lies. They were making up excuses. They were. It was tragic to watch. Tragic to watch. If that is the defense that these people are going to be able to mount when their trial comes, it's going to be a very, very, very short trial. And you and I, we should take some great solace in that, because why would you waste weeks on a trial when they make it just so easy? Oh, God, they make it so easy. Aussie Sue, how's Laura going? Thank you for asking, Aussie Sue. I appreciate everybody's thoughts for Laura, and so does she. She's pretty good. She's caught a cold. Isn't that good? Her mindset, I think, if I'm honest, I I saw a weight lift off her when we got the news that he was pleading guilty. He was clearly mad to get her and especially me on the stand. So I figured that his solicitor had time to see our statements and probably saw the video because there is video of him standing over her with a very evil kind of machete, and that's what triggered this whole thing. He was keeping her captive, had done for a couple of days. So tried cutting her foot off the night before with that machete. At any rate, there was plenty of evidence, and he would have been mad to plead not guilty and have either of us on the stand. Laura was very worried about being cross-examined or being put on the stand, but with a bit of coaching, and we talked about it quite a lot in the week leading up to it, spent a lot of time talking about it. That's why I was a bit in and out with the show. It was important that Laura knew how to answer questions, and if there were questions that, were taking her into areas she didn't need to go, then I wanted to make sure she had the best possible ideas of how to get herself comfortable in providing an answer without having to go and speak for 20 minutes giving an answer, essentially. The one thing, if you've ever got to go into a court and you're ever going to be cross-examined, folks, if it is at all possible, answer yes or no to the question, and that's it. Yes or no. If it is possible to answer yes or no, then keep your answer as short as possible. Do not offer explanation on points that you raise in your short answer. Use as few words as possible if you are being cross-examined. That would be my advice. And listen very carefully to what they're asking you, very carefully. Sometimes they get a bit theatrical, particularly defense attorneys. So they can get... There were so many good, really good legal shows that I'm sure inspired many of the folks that we see in these courts today. Boston Legal springs to mind. There were two characters there. Denny Crane, of course, was the lead, and I can't remember the other bloke's name. The same fella out of Blacklist. He played a fantastic character who you would never want to meet in a courtroom. I think they inspired many a young lawyer to take the bar and then discover that you can't really do that in a court. In America, you certainly can, but not in Australia. They do play things just a little bit differently. I'm having a bit of a look here now. Oh, look, I had somebody contact me via email. I don't know if you're watching. If you are, I'm very interested to learn more. Apparently they did a numerology thing on my name and a few of the other things surrounding us at the time. So, and it came out quite well. And I don't know what quite well means. Did I win lotto? Am I winning lotto? Is lotto even going to be a thing? I don't know. I'd have to be buying a ticket if I was going to win lotto, and I don't buy tickets in lotto, so I'm not likely to win it. Just saying. But numerology, me and numbers. If we're going to have a conversation about numerology, you're the one doing the talking. All right, that's pretty much how it's got to be. But so if you are the person who emailed me and said you've got all these details about, I don't know, numerology, get back in touch, please. I'm very keen to find out more. Very keen to find out more. Yes, we do have kangaroo courts in Australia. We don't even have courts. What we have is simply a loading dock where they process the cattle. That's really all they're doing there. No fun. James Spader, that's the one. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate that. He's a great actor, isn't he? Look out. Hang on. Michelle, what are you giving away here? So a couple of things that we're thinking about doing for Voice of Freedom. What have we done? We're not just on an hour, so I'll be very quick about this. There are plans for the Voice of Freedom. I told you that there are plans for the Voice of Freedom to expand to not just be me, to have many other voices involved. We're getting involved. We are getting underway with that. One of the things that we did over the weekend was go and have a look at what could potentially be some studio space for us, and that will give us an ability to set up more computers. I mean, seriously, if you could see the desk I work off here and the amount of gear I have on it, and the amount of computers that I've got tucked away that can't do anything in here because I don't have the room, we would be able to do a lot more. And I want to make this look a lot different, a lot bigger, a lot better. So that's what we've been working on in the last few weeks, and that's why I might be a bit random at times at the moment, because there's some meetings, there's a lot of coordination going on, and of course there's a lot of talk about content and who, what, where that content is going to come from. I can tell you a lot of it's going to come from you. If you want to be involved, we'd love to have you involved. And if you don't know anything about it but would still like to be involved, even better. We have people that will give you some training so that what you do will be usable for us going forward. It's a pretty big idea. It's not something that's going to be achieved overnight. In fact, it's going to take years for it to get to a stage where, I would probably call it a channel, but who knows? We might be able to get there in months with your help. So that's what we're working on in the background here, and of course, we're also working on finding our winners for the silver competition with our limericks. So a few things we're working on in the background, but one of you lot who have written some magnificent limericks, thank you so much for the effort that you put into them. We will be drawing out the winner for that next week. It's absolutely hugy. I'm looking forward to that. Now, have I left anything off my little list here? Doesn't look like it at the moment. And I'll just check that I've played all my videos that I was going to play, and I've shown you all the pictures I was going to show you. Looks like we've got it all for today, folks. Thank you very much for your patience with me. And if you would, please be so kind as to like and subscribe to the channel you're watching. When you hit the like button, though, folks, will you just see whether or not the number goes up? Because I'm getting a lot of emails from people who are saying they've been liking and or trying to subscribe to a number of the YouTube channels in particular, and they keep getting rejection messages saying you can't subscribe at the moment, or that facility is not available at the moment, or are you really sure you want to do this, or all sorts of bloody excuses. But I'm just wondering, if the likes aren't going on as well, then that's probably another form of suppression that they're bringing out. And just having a look in the Rumble, folks, too. I'm sorry, I've got your chat up in another window. Yeah, Fars, you're right. The problem is the people who think they're awake aren't awake. They're following diversions. Yeah, that's probably the biggest problem we're having at the moment. There are so many diversions out there at the moment, and we're all chasing them like, well, weird things. Speaking of diversions, one of the diversions was the submarine. All right, that was the submarine crushed up down the Titanic. There's a lot more to that story. Little bits of it are leaking out, and keep an ear out. I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that there was nobody in that submarine when it collapsed, and we might find the involvement of others in the saving of the people on board. Put it that way. I'm not actually on it when it went underwater, but there is very strong arguments to suggest that nobody died on that thing. It was an insurance job, amongst others, and done for a reason. Billionaires on board, Titanic involvement, dates, all these weird things involved. So that's not over yet. You're going to hear a lot more about that in the days and weeks ahead. I am absolutely sure. But if you can, folks, like and subscribe. That would be awesome. If you haven't joined us yet and you'd like to be a member with Voice of Freedom, we would love to have you. You can go to vofhq.com and find the member button. Click on that, fill in the details, and you never know, the next competition we have might be giving away gold. You could be winning that. It won't be a Limerick competition. It'll be something else. But because of the nature of the way these giveaways have to work online, we have to have you do something. You can't just be a name drawn out of a hat. You actually have to do something to win in these legal times online. So Vince is the man to talk to about that. He knows all the legalities much better than me. Because he's just that kind of a bloke. Say a prayer for Vince, will you, at the moment? He's not feeling terribly well. I was talking to him earlier today. Now, he does have a health issue, so if you would be so kind as to keep him in your prayers, I would appreciate that. He's a wonderful man. I don't know what I'd do without him. And he is a big part of Voice of Freedom. He's a big part of he's for me. I took a lot of ideas on him. So, give me credit just in the last couple of days. All right, ladies, and those of you who like to be called something else, I hope you have a very nice evening. Don't go out wild. Don't go carry on. It's too bloody cold where I am to go outside anyway. I hope you warm up. Folks in Coffs Harbour, going to come and see you with John Wilson 15th of July, I think the rally is happening in Coffs Harbour. We'll be down there for that. I was asked to speak. Don't know that I'll get up and speak at the rally, but I'll be around. If you want to come and see me, we'll come and have a chat. John is going to get up and say a few words because, well, that's just what John does. I guess I will if you really demand it, but I don't see myself as somebody who goes to rallies to speak. I don't see myself as someone who goes to rallies to protest. If I go to a rally, it'll be to take my rights back, not complain that I haven't been given them back. That's how I feel about them. But I do understand we've got to communicate. So I guess we'll go and communicate. You might see me on a stage yet. That'll bugger up the organisers' plans, won't it? I think they've already got a speaking list out. Could be a bit of fun. All right, folks, if you're going to be around for that, see you in Coffs Harbour for that. Then there will be a trip north. Then there is a trip for Laura and I going to South Australia and Victoria. We will go through New South Wales to do that and make stops through there too. That's going to put us down in the southern parts of Australia at the coldest part of the year. And all I can say is thank God for my great mate, Black Sheep in Tasmania, who gave me a coat with a battery in it that heats up and keeps you warm. Can't wait to get there. Well, another 10,000K return trip. Not to worry. I've got a dash cam. We'll catch those dickheads on the roads. Have a good night, folks.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!